Hello everyone, this is Alisa and I am in the Blends and Beyond Facebook group. I'm just going to make sure that I can see myself. I thought we would do some colouring in of the Simply Zinnia stamp set, this one here, and this one is aimed at our beginners. So let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Now it's probably going to be quite a distance away from me. I might just have to pick up my stand here and shift it forward. So hopefully I'm not too super close, but I need to be able to be in a position that I can reach and then I can zoom in on as well. So we'll come a little bit closer. Okay, so this is more for a beginner level of colouring, and I have stamped in Memento. I'll grab that ink pad. So I've already pre-stamped. This is the ink pad that we are using. Whoops, I'm all over the place because I'm so close. So that is the ink pad that we are needing. It is water-based because we are working with our alcohol markers, and I'll just hook up so that I can see comments. Hello Wendy. Okay, so I'm choosing colors that are from the designer series paper because of course you'll probably want to use a little bit of the paper when you are creating your cards. So I've got the Berry Burst light and dark, and then I'm pulling in a dark flirty flamingo. And then for the center of the flowers, I'm going to be doing the light pumpkin pie and the dark lemon lolly. Sorry, I'll just bring them down so you can see the colors. When I get zoomed in, it means I'm all over the place when I'm looking on my screen. Okay, so I'm going to be using the bullet tip for these. So starting off with my dark, that is my light. I do not want that one, I want my dark. Oh, we can get the lids on. My lids are nice and tight, which unfortunately means that if you grab hold of it too hard, then that's when sometimes that bit there can come off and expose the core as well. So I'm going to start at the top. This petal here, I'm going to do I'm going to colour each individually, but I'm going to go around with one color. So I'm not going to spend time coloring each one individually. I'm just going to do the one color, but I'm going to tackle each one individually. So I'm not just going to, go for it and go around. Okay, so the second one is we're going to go behind the petals because they are overlapping, and then we're just going to extend out a little bit. I'm going to try and explain how what it's feeling like on the paper. Okay, that's probably the best way to explain it, because these ones here I can go up a lot, and you'll notice that I am doing little flicking motions. But when we get to these tiny little petals back here where it's really, there's not a lot to color in, I take the pressure off of the nib and it's just barely touching the card. Okay, so, and we don't want to colour on the line, we want to colour just in front of the line. So flicking, and then back here, just really gently, like I'm hardly putting any pressure, hardly touching that card at all, just really soft, gentle flicks. And I think that also helps with the bleeding, like so you won't bleed outside of that line. I'm just going to check whoops, there's somebody at my front drive as well. So again, just really lightly. And the petals that are at the front, I can put a fair bit of colour down. And of course, the petals at the back, we're just barely putting anything down. We do want to give ourselves a little bit of space because we've got 2 extra colours going down. So just around. Keep turning your card around rather than trying to keep that in one position. It's just easier to move the card around with you. Okay, so we're just doing each petal as they come, lightly towards the end. So we're just going behind each one. Where one would overlap another is where we're putting our dark one down first. Still going round. And then you'll notice that the petals start to overlap each other in the opposite direction here. So we need to put that shadow line on the other side. So being that this is basic, I'm not going to be doing any pencil work. We're just doing straight blends, just coming in closer to the center, just to make sure that we get it all. Okay, so that's all the work with the dark. Now we're going to come in with the light. Now for the light, I'm going to go over the top of the colors that I've already put down and just extend it out a wee bit. Hey, Michelle. So just down, like over the top and extending out. We want to leave ourselves a little bit of white space because we've got another color to come in. Okay, and of course, depending on how much white space you leave yourself, will depend, like the color of your flower will change when we introduce the Flirty Flamingo. Now for these back petals, I am not going to put any light down. I'm just going to focus on these front ones and any that I've got a fair bit of space for. So that one's had a fair bit of space. This one's at the back, but I've got a fair bit of white space for it. So any that I feel like I've run out of room for already, I'm not going to worry about doing. And again, I'm doing little short flicks. I'm not actually colouring like a texture at this point. I'm just doing little flicks, so I'm lifting the nib up off the paper every time I do a little stroke. Nearly there. And sometimes it's hard to remember where you started, which is why I've coloured this one in a few times now, and I've tried to start with this one here. It's sort of almost like it overlaps two petals at the same time. Okay, so that's that one done. Now we're going to bring in our dark Flirty Flamingo, and this is where I can just colour in as if I had a texture. So I'm going to just fill in that little white area, and because I want to keep the integrity of the berry burst, I'm not actually going to blend it in as all the way down. Like I'm not going to go over the top of everything like I normally do. I'm just going to go over the tip and then just extend it down just a little bit. Otherwise you'll end up with a harsh line, but if you just bring it down a little bit, I am doing texture colouring. But don't overwork it, otherwise you might end up with one of those hard lines between the two. So just bring it down a wee bit and you'll notice that the colour changes. So depending on whether you want more of a pinker light, like a Flirty Flamingo colour, you can leave more white space. If you want more of the purpley berry burst, then just leave tiny little bit of a white at the top just to bring in this third colour. Now I missed whose comments there was, and I can't actually see. Oh, there we go. Now I've got them. Hello. Now I can see them. So we're just going to fill them in all the way around. And of course, let the blending solution do its thing. Don't try and overwork it. It will do its own thing. Going round, and of course they dry different as well, so what we're seeing on the screen compared to where I started is a little bit different as well, because they tend to dry a little bit lighter. Whoops. If you wanted to be to step it up a little bit, you could go in with pick a pencil, a darker purpley pink maybe, and you could go in and you can add a little bit of depth to each of those petals if you wanted to add a little bit more where the shadowing would be. I'm not going to worry about it because we're just doing a beginner level. Okay, so there's my flower, which is quite pretty. I tell you, it looks quite pretty in real life. It's a little bit tricky on the camera. So now I'm coming in with my light pumpkin pie, and I'm just going to do the center of that flower. I have changed the nib on this one. This one is an Ohuhu nib, which they seem to be pretty hard to come by at the moment. I don't know what is going on with their stock levels, but I'm thinking about emailing them and asking them when they're going to get some more nibs back in. And then this one is the dark lemon lolly, and I am just scribbling over the top. Not really too fussed about where. Well, it's just a little filler inner, isn't it? So let's see if I can bring that up. It might change the color if I can get it closer to the screen. Oops, there we go. So there we have it. A beginner level coloring of the Zinnia. So hope you, if you are a newbie to your blends, hopefully you got a little bit out of that and enjoyed it. I've got a whole stack of them colored up for projects. So I thought while I was coloring them, why not film it, right? So there we go, and I'll bring them in. So they're all pretty much the same. I think I keep reasonably consistent as I colour, so it's all fun. So there we go. Okay, so let me know if you got something out of that, and just try and remember that when you do those tiny little areas, not much pressure. Don't put a lot of pressure on the nib, because you may get bleeding because it's such a small area and it's very easy to go outside the lines. I have gone outside the lines in a few areas, but just light pressure as you're doing those little petals. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you again later. See ya.